Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to our Haas F1 playthrough, Season 2, Race 2. We're in Jeddah. I think after the result we had in the last race where we were very comfortable indeed, I think we're looking at another pretty dominant performance. Our driver lineup is very, very good. A much improved Kevin Magnussen over the first season, thanks to a bit of training and improving the car. Specifically in its braking, combined with the ageless Fernando Alonso, means that we absolutely cruised to victory in our last race, and I'm hoping for more of the same here. How you doing, Jeremy? Good to see you. Let's go straight to our performance targets. Take a look at the circuit. You can see a lot of high speed, a lot of medium speed, a couple of slow speed corners, and a few flat out sections. Our car is good in all those categories. There is a breakdown of our car. As you can see, we are very, very quick. First in all parts of cornering, both normal and dirty air. Brake cooling and engine cooling still needs a little bit of work, but it's not too far off, and our top speed is very good as well. So as a result of that, we are going to go aggressive with our performance targets. The incentive is to get both cars into Q2. That's going to be very easy indeed. I'm going to go for a front row lockout as our guarantee. So obviously both cars into Q3. Fastest lap is the incentive. We're going to go with a 1-2 finish guarantee. And there's our two streaks that we started out as well.
Formula One is back. Welcome to one of the fastest circuits on the calendar here at Jeddah. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is about to kick off and the atmosphere here is electric. The Jeddah street circuit has one of the fastest average speeds as well as the most corners of any track on the calendar. Good high-speed downforce is going to make life in the fast lane a little easier for drivers here this weekend. We might still be early in the season, but that doesn't mean we can sit back and relax. Everything is up for grabs, and nothing is certain at this stage. So, without further ado, let's get started.
And as always, we have fine weather here in Saudi Arabia. It's another one of those races where it never rains. So we haven't got to worry about wet weather in the race itself. Let's go into our car setups. We're going to be leaving the car parts alone. They are still the first set of components in terms of car setup. I've got a couple to choose from. I'm going to try with a 10.5 rear wing on the first car. And I can see straight away that might not fit. Let's continue with the rest of the tweaks. Yeah, so we're going to need an 11 wing for this car. Okay, so let's go with a 7, 11, 9, 1, 3.5 and a 0. That is just out of tolerance. I can see the traction is just out, so let's make that an 8.2 and we'll go with a 7.5 on the front wing. There we go. So that's Fernando's car setup. We are going to go with 19 laps of fuel, drop the pace down, and we are going to drop Alonso to put Logan in the car, as we are every weekend. Into Kevin's car, we are going to go and try the 10.5 again. So we'll go 7.5 at the front, 10.5 at the rear, and again I can see that's not going to work. So we'll go with the 11. We'll try for the 9.1 again. That one looks like it might fit. and that one will fit. So we've got two different setups. Let's see which one of those is going to be the better. 19 laps, slow the pace down, and there we go. Into practice we go.
Radio check.
Radio's good.
And as always, oops, we will tell them to avoid curbs and drive in clean air. I'm also going to make sure Logan doesn't get in the way. There we go. He won't anyway, but just in case. How you doing, trucker? So a bit of a pace difference between our two drivers, as you can see, about 0.6 of a second. That makes sense. You know, Logan is still a young driver, he's still learning, but he is closing the deficit, as you can see. He's got it to about 2-3 of a second now. This is encouraging for going forward with Logan as our lead driver next season. He will probably be partnered up with Magnussen. So we can kind of use the practice sessions when they're going out on
when you can.
Equal fuel load, equal tyres and stuff, to get a good idea of where he is and how much progress he's going to make over the season in relation to Kevin. As we say, the gap between them at the moment about 0.3, which is acceptable. How you doing, Anthony? On the last lap of Canada, Lando in the lead, Piastri 6th. Okay, well, good luck. Fingers crossed for you. And I'm very well, thank you for asking. And there we go. Straight away, we have a 100 set up for Logan's car. At 92 for Kevin, so a little bit more work needed on that one, but not too much. What we're going to try and do is extend Sargent past the half-hour mark if we can, so we'll keep him out when his run finishes, just running on that spare fuel he's been building up, just so we can make sure he gets his full 500 points and runs for half the session at least. Hopefully he'll have enough fuel left in the car to achieve that. He should do. So there we go, we're going to cancel that call in. Let him run for another couple of laps. He's got 5.5 kilos of fuel. That should be enough to run him for another 3 laps. Okay, so we need a different roll bar, so we need an 8.2. We need to tweak the front wing. I'm going to go with a 7.5 front wing and just pull the toe in a little bit and hope that that's enough of a change on the oversteer and not enough of a change on the straights for those to be affected. I hope the optimal that we've got on cornering isn't going to be affected as well. I would ideally like to be able to push our front wing up to 8, but in doing that it is going to probably break the rear wing, so we'll try that. Let's put on some fresh tyres, see how that runs. Logan has his 500 points. He's been running for more than half an hour. Now we can call him in. There we go. and that should be maximum points for him for this session. And we don't have to send that car back out because it is already at 100%. Anthony finished first and sixth, Lando's second win in a row, and started 20th with Lando after engine penalties. Yeah, Canada is one of those circuits where you can take penalties and make up the ground quite quickly if you have a competitive car. You know, the long double DRS straight, you know, at the back end of the circuit, from the hairpin through to turn one. That can really allow you to power past multiple cars. And with a DRS straight halfway down the lap as well, it really helps you close up that gap and make sure you can get into the DRS around the hairpin for that long run from the back. It's becoming my favourite circuit to get penalties out the way on that circuit. Also, if you've really well developed your car, you should still have a developmental advantage at that point over the AI. You know, it's before they start really ramping up their development against you. So you can usually get more updates on the car than them by that point, and then after that is when they start to catch you up quite significantly. And they keep developing all the way through to the end of the season in the most part. It's also a race where you get a lot of safety cars on average as well, so that also helps close the field back up. And it's a circuit where you can get rain on a fairly regular basis as well, so again, the weather can help you, you know, close the gaps quite quickly if you are able to time switching onto inters very quickly. You've got a new underfloor and a new suspension coming for Silverstone. New underfloor will definitely help you at Silverstone. And suspension, is, as long as you've gone with the optimised cooling route, that'll probably be a big help for you as well. There's not a lot of really heavy braking zones at Silverstone, but it's always good to improve your brakes. Okay, end of the first session. Kevin on his way back to the garage now, 99% on his setup now. Just need to tweak the toe. So let's take a look. Okay, let's push the toe back to 0. See if that's the right way. If it's not, we can always flip it the other way and go to 0.10. We want to up the fuel run to 19 again. Drop the pace, change the tyres. We're going to go with a set of hard tyres so we can do a double run. And Fernando's in the car now, so we want him on a long run. So we want his car heavy with fuel. We're going to go with 40 laps of fuel. And setting him out like that. So into practice 2 we go.
And radio check.
Radio's good.
This is another race where if we have a big gulf in qualifying, then we will try and save the engine. If it's pretty close, it can be a bit tricky to save the engine on this circuit. It all depends as well on how the strategy plays out. This is very much a one-stop race, mediums to hards, or hards to mediums, or maybe even softs to hards, hards to softs. It's even with intense saving, it's very difficult to go mediums to softs. Very difficult indeed, and certainly you won't have enough pace to make it work unless you have at least half a second pace advantage over the AI, and even then it's going to be a bit touch and go. So we are going to be probably going mediums to hards. We may possibly start on the hards, and if we do, I may try and stretch. I'll go hard to medium, but I may try and stretch those hards onto a set of softs instead. We shall see how the race shakes out. We'll have to see as well how fast we are in qualifying. And we did go the right way with the toe tweak on Kevin's car, so he is now at 100% as well. So once again, a nice easy setup for our cars. All we need to do is just build up that track knowledge, and then we can just cruise on into qualifying. Looking forward to the resumption of the battle between Fernando and Kevin. See who comes out on top this weekend. They fought each other all the way through the last race, keeping it clean, no big dramas, no collisions. I'm hoping and expecting more of the same in this race, and with so much DRS overtaking available on this circuit, you can sometimes get some overtaking on the first DRS zone about halfway around the track. But most of them come at the second DRS zone, the run down to the final turn, and then obviously you get a lot of overtaking on the start-finish straight as well. Those are going to be the two zones where most overtakes are going to happen. And having a car that is very good in cornering is crucial for the first sector, and our car is class leading in that respect. So the first lap or two we should be able to pull away quite quickly, and then hopefully settle into a rhythm, and we'll just leave our two drivers to battle it out with each other, and hopefully by leapfrogging each other they will build a gap enough to allow us to start looking after the engine again. There we go, session over. Probably should have called Kevin in a little bit earlier, but never mind. Just means he's going to have to run slightly longer than necessary in the third session, just to make sure he gets that maximum points.
Thank you for joining us here today. Once practice is over, qualifying will be underway, and then the fight for pole begins. While many eyes may be drifting ahead to the big race, the teams and their drivers will be fully focused on the task at hand here today. Those who make the most of the free practice sessions will head into qualifying knowing that they've given it their all and done everything in their power to cement themselves a good, strong position on the asphalt tomorrow. So get yourselves comfortable. It's going to be quite the ride.
Okay, Q3, or FP3, sorry. So we're going to go with medium tyres. Fernando is up to 61% track knowledge, so I think a 32 lap run should be enough, but he'll certainly gain enough fuel to extend that by a couple of laps if he needs to. And for Kevin, we want to run him just long enough, so 20 laps will be enough for him. And off we go.
And radio check when you can.
Radio's good.
We do have some official Haas news from coming out today. It is official now. Mick Schumacher has been replaced by Nico Hülkenberg for next season. So Mick is off the grid. He does still have an outside, a very slim outside chance of being on the grid next year. It all depends on whether Logan Sargent gets his super license this weekend. If Sargent doesn't, then he will obviously remain in F2, I would imagine, for another season. And it would give Mick an opportunity to go for that Williams seat. It's a very slim chance, though. The other rumour that's circulating around Mick is that he is being considered for the test drive position at Mercedes, and I think that would be a good move. I think if he takes that, his family has strong ties to Mercedes. His father, Michael, obviously started his racing career with Mercedes back in DTM. Was the first driver that Mercedes signed when, or wanted to sign when they took over from Braun GP. They got Michael alongside Nico. So there's definitely history there between the Schumacher family and Mercedes. And I think working with a team as highly rated as Mercedes would be good for Mick's career. Even though he wouldn't necessarily be driving, he would get the odd practice session here and there. He would get some testing sessions here and there. He would obviously be working in the simulators. He'd be working with the engineers a lot. I think he could learn quite a lot, and I think that would be a pretty strong career move for him. Obviously, the aim would be to get on the grid, but who knows? If he does sign and take on the reserve role, and then Hamilton in a couple of seasons walks away, that could open the door for Mick. If he's done enough in the background as the reserve driver, that could open the door for Mick to actually drive for Mercedes. Who knows how the driver market's going to be in a couple of years' time, but yeah, that would be good to see. I think Mick driving in a Mercedes. He does need to improve. He's not at the right level yet, but given time, I could see those two working well together. So Kevin is done, and Fernando is about to be done.
We've just had a spin.
There we go. Let's call Fernando in. And now we just need to run the clock. Ready for qualifying. So based on practice times, Red Bull are looking pretty strong. Ferrari aren't too far behind. Bottas showing the pace that he kind of hinted at in Bahrain before his race fell apart. Hamilton looking decent. Gasly's up there. Albon's up there again, looking 9th. Where's his teammate? Stroll's down in 14th, so yeah, 0.4 of a second difference between those two. That's a big gulf. But of course, practice times are just practice times. You can't read too much into them. Everyone runs different fuel loads, different tyres. Qualifying is where we find out exactly where the car paces are, and it is now time for qualifying. No parts need to be changed, so let's go straight on in.
And radio check when you can.
Radio is good.
So we'll send both of our guys out straight away, see what we can do. How you doing, Mr. Water? Good to see you. Showdown between the two teammates is about to resume. Let's see who comes out on top in Q1. I think we might potentially have a little bit of traffic coming out the pit lane. Hopefully that's not going to get in the way of anyone. Looks like both drivers got through okay. Good, good. So Alonso goes purple and stays purple. Magnussen not quite as quick as Alonso in sector 1. Purple for sector 2, and again Magnussen a little bit slower. So now they're looking very smooth through that final turn there, as he drives up to the line. He sets the benchmark at 128.2, Magnussen 37 thousandths of a second slower, so very, very close between the two. So that's our boys done for Q1. Let's see how everyone else does time-wise. Bottas 0.7 of a second slower at the moment. Perez 0.8. I think there might be a bit of traffic that's played a part in that. Ferrari's setting their times, and I can see some traffic for them, I think. Yeah, Leclerc gets held up by Vettel and Gasly. Sainz, I think, gets through okay. Leclerc is 3.5 slower, Verstappen 0.4. Sainz did get held up slightly, so let's see what times they do on their final runs. They're all heading out now. We're going to see improvements from quite a few drivers here. Perez is definitely going to move up the order. I would imagine Albon will move up slightly, maybe Ocon. The two Mercedes running nose to tail. Looks like Hamilton is getting a slipstream off the back of Russell here. Same with the McLarens as well. Ricciardo getting a tow from Norris. And Norris is out. That is a shock. Big improvements for some drivers. Let's see. Magnussen got up to third. Sorry, Verstappen got up to third. 0.3 off Kevin. Leclerc a couple of hundredths slower. Sainz improves to fifth. Perez does improve, but he's still a little way off. He's half a second off. We go down to the bottom end. We see that Latifi, Schumacher, Zhou, Tsunoda and Norris are the drivers who are eliminated. So, into Q2. We're going to go with scrubs. See if we can get away with just a scrub run at the start. How you doing, Matthew? Okay, so Bottas is in front of us on track. Are we going to run up to the back of him on our qualifying lap? We might do. That might slow down Alonso's lap a little bit. But he should still be fast enough to get through without having to run on brand new tyres. Russell is on track in front of us. Alonso definitely gets held up. But we're still 1-2 and still ahead of Bottas. I think those times will be enough to get us through, so we don't need to run again. Okay, everyone's making their final run now. We're currently 4th and 5th and comfortably safe.
I think that was a crash.
Gasly has had an accident on turn 4.
Okay, so there we have the Alpine.
And that's going to be on his hot lap as well.
That crash is
could that
terrible
see
news for the
Gasly
team.
out? He is out, yeah. Gasly fails to qualify as a result of that crash. So, knocked out in 15th, Lance Stroll. 14th, Alex Albon. Just not getting enough of a run. I think, though, he was the AlphaTauri that was behind Gasly, so he may have had to slow down for a yellow flag, which would unfortunately have kept him out. Ocon in P13, Ricciardo in P12, Gasly with his crash in P11. So into the final top 10 shootout we have Vettel, Perez, Russell, Alonso, Hamilton, Bottas, Magnussen, Sainz and Leclerc. No grid penalties going into Q3. How you doing, SITV? Did I see Mick is leaving Haas? Yes, I did. We actually talked about that about 5-10 minutes ago. I think there's a next to no chance that he's going to be with Williams. I think it's almost, it's not a certainty, but it's almost guaranteed that Logan's going to get his super license, which means he will be on the grid for Williams next season. There is a rumour going around that Mick is being considered for the reserve driver role at Mercedes, and as I was saying earlier, I think that would probably be a good move for him.
And radio check.
Radio's good.
So I decided to give Magnussen another go. Yeah, kind of. I was undecided whether I was going to keep Mick and get rid of Kevin at the end of season 1 until the updates that I dropped on the car came at Spa, and then Magnussen just started winning. Plus he'd been outperforming Schumacher throughout the season. Because I got on top of the brake cooling issue very, very quickly in the first season, his performances were much more consistent. And in the end, it was kind of a no-brainer to just let Mick's contract expire, and we've replaced him with Alonso. Logan is being trained up for another year, and then next season he will be going in the car, and we'll be dropping Alonso from the team. And that'll give Magnussen another year or two in the car alongside Logan while we train up his replacement, which will be Jack Crawford. Didn't I have Piastri? Yeah, well, I ran a second Haas playthrough in my own time, and as we got to the end of the first season, I noticed that some things just weren't right. We were still running pre-patch data in the save file, so the car development was too powerful. Some of the staffing data was wrong. You know, Diego Tondi retired from the sport immediately because he was still listed as 62 years old. So yeah, I decided to get to the end of the season with the original file and then replace it with a brand new end of season 1 file where we'd kept the original driver lineup, and that's what this is. So this is the battle for pole between Alonso and Magnussen. These two drivers separated by less than a tenth of a second in Q1, a little bit more in Q2 because they had some traffic to deal with when they set their scrub banker lap, and in the end the banker lap was good enough. But yeah, this could be a very, very close session. Alonso just had the edge on Kevin in Q1. Can he repeat that in Q3? Vettel is across the line in 8th. Russell confirmed in 7th. Perez 4th. Verstappen 1st. Leclerc 2nd. Sainz 3rd. No improvement on those guys. Can we topple them all? Still waiting on Bottas. Bottas stays in 5th. Hamilton coming up to the line now. No improvement for Hamilton either. He stays 6th. Magnussen currently setting purple sectors. Alonso goes purple in sector 2. It is so close between these two. Who is going to get pole position? Magnussen accelerating out of the final corner. Alonso now doing the same. The drive up to the line. Magnussen is going to go pole. Can he keep it though? Magnussen a 128.2. And Alonso 34 thousandths of a second slower. It was 37 thousandths between them in Alonso's favour in Q1. It's 34 thousandths in Q3 in Magnussen's favour. Very, very close between our two drivers here. This is going to be another cracking battle between them in the race. No Spinoders so far, but we did have a crash for Gasly in Q2, which stopped him from qualifying for the top 10 shootout. and I think also held up Alex Albon, who might have snuck through.
It's race day, and final preparations are underway.
Haas set themselves up for success during the race here with some spectacular qualifying lap times. It's going to be an exciting race for sure. We saw a reasonably good qualifying performance from Ferrari, and they certainly have a good chance to capitalize during the race. And the sun is shining bright here today. This is perfect weather for teams and drivers alike to show us what they're capable of.
Well, this is certainly going to be a challenging but no doubt exciting race here in Jeddah.
So, race time in terms of strategy. Let's see, do I start on the hard tyres? I'm just looking at the very low res hair texture on Alonso on the right of the screen there. It just looks a bit weird. Right, let's queue up a hard to medium run with the potential to go hard to soft if we can stretch the hard tyres enough. There we go. Same with Kevin. We'll start on the hards, and if we can extend the life of the hards, then we'll look at maybe switching on to some softs to finish the race. Okay, in terms of fuel, we are going to take a lap of fuel out of the car. There we go. I'm not going to start off with any DRS or anything like that. We're just going to see what tyres everyone else is on before we decide how we're going to approach the beginning part of the race. So, let's head to the race.
Clear skies tonight, with the drivers having now arrived at their grid positions. There we see Kevin Magnussen. They're in P1. Let's see if they can take advantage of that position. And here's Alonso, the team's second driver. They're in second place on the grid, but that could so easily change in the first few seconds of the race. The race start is mere seconds away. We're now moments away from this, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Okay, good start from Alonso. He has a look at the inside. Magnussen's going to hold him off. Verstappen having a little look. Can't make it through. And let's have a look at what tyres everyone else is on. So Verstappen also on hard tyres. That helps. Sainz and Perez both on mediums. Then Leclerc, Bottas, Russell, Hamilton, Vettel and Gasly all on hards with Tsunoda at the back of the grid. Everyone else starting on softs. So only two cars going mediums. They are almost certainly going to go medium hard and do a one-stop strategy. The soft runners, they may go for hards. They may end up doing a two-stop. We shall have to see. But they are at the back of the grid. So they're not really going to cause too much of a problem for us, I don't think. If we can keep Verstappen in third for a couple of laps, that will certainly help us. I am going to push the the ERS for one lap.
So deployed.
Copy.
And try and break the gap to Verstappen straight away. And then we will try and settle into a nice steady race pace, and after a few laps we'll look at dropping the engine pace down a bit. Sainz having a look at Verstappen here. Can he get him into turn one? No, Verstappen holds him off. If Verstappen stays in third for a while, it will allow us to potentially drop our tyre pace down slightly, protect the engine a little bit for the next few races. But if Sainz gets through with those medium tyres, he will immediately start to close the gap down if we do that. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Looks so weird seeing cars at the front of the grid, but in a good way. Yes, I agree with that. We've had a crash. Someone has hit the wall. And it's one of the Williams.
Sounds like there's been a crash.
No,
Here's
it's one of
the
it's
replay.
Verstappen.
Now here we see Max Verstappen.
So Max locks up
Thank goodness nobody else
and
was
then just
involved. That
loses it and drives
was a
into the
big
wall.
crash.
That was very, very clumsy. And that has freed Carlos Sainz and his mediums
That's going to be a big blow to the team.
to start
Will they
trying
be
to
able
close
to
up to us.
recover? We'll see.
But it does take Verstappen out of contention in this Grand Prix. He's now back of the grid with damage. He is certainly going to have to pit, I think. And that, because he started on hards, may force him into a two-stop strategy. Just to further destroy his race weekend. We currently have a 2.9 second lead over Carlos Sainz, who was under pressure from his teammates. And now we are going to go back into neutral on the battery.
And DRS enabled, DRS enabled.
And now we wait to see how things happen with the Ferrari. Are we still able to pull away a little bit? Or are we going to have to be careful as we get reeled in? Verstappen in the pits. He's gone onto mediums, getting a new front wing, and off he goes. He will close the gap on the cars in front relatively quickly and make his way through the grid, although everyone in front of him is, or directly in front of him, is on soft tyres at the moment, apart from S02, so might not be quite as easy as it should be. He's currently 39 seconds off the lead after just 2 laps. So yeah, his race is done. He might get points. Of course, a safety car would certainly help him out dramatically, but if he can make his tyres last, he can now go medium. If his hard tyres weren't too badly damaged in that crash, he does potentially have the option of going back onto hards later, albeit used hards. And who knows, he may have even saved some hards from quali, from the practice sessions. Leclerc and Sainz swapping positions. We are actually slightly pulling away from them right now, so I am going to go ahead and start recharging batteries. And when the batteries are recharged, we are going to look at maybe dropping the tyre pace down a notch. Sainz and Perez now in front of Leclerc. Sainz and Perez both on medium tyres, Leclerc on hards. So with 2 medium cars now in prime position to swap places with each other, that does mean we might not be able to drop our tyre pace. Not for a while anyway. Okay, so Alonso is making the overtake, so we're going to turn off his charging
Charge button on.
and turn on Kevin's.
Copy that.
We're trying to be clever about how we do this to minimise the time lost, so that the car in front is always running neutral, the car behind is charging. That's my ankle snapping now. Point of view, I spent the whole of the previous season building for this season. Well, you do that with any any career, really. When you first get started, you always look to maximise the car for the following season, because, well, unless you are driving in one of the top teams, because you're not really fighting for anything. But I didn't go super aggressive. I just changed the way I did some of the the build-up. So I did I think 5 different suspensions over the course of the season to try and really hammer down on improving the brake cooling, and it paid dividends in terms of much better, more consistent results from both our drivers, which meant higher sponsorship payouts because we were able to achieve targets more consistently. Only had, I think, 3 DNFs across the whole season. And so that enabled, with those better results, it enabled a better allocation of funds in terms of upgrading facilities. So I was able to get in some nice little facility upgrades right at the end of the season for the start of building Season 2's car. And then we were clever with our upgrades, in the run-up to Bahrain. And it's enabled us to build a very competitive car this season. Again, we don't have the technical expertise of some of the very top teams, so we may find that Red Bull and Ferrari do close us down a little bit. But I'm hoping that, with the staff that we've assembled and with the upgrades I've put in, that we should be in a stronger position to maintain or at least reduce the drop in performance that Williams are suffering on our other playthrough right now. Okay, Alonso is about to get past. There we go. So we'll swap the charging over. We're still keeping the gap at around 3 seconds to the lead, so it's about 2.5 seconds between Alonso and Perez right now. They are slowly eking onto us. But as I said, Perez and Sainz leading the way in that chasing pack are on mediums, we are on hards, so we are going to be in a much stronger position in the second half of the race. But this is one of those circuits where things can change on at the drop of a hat. We've seen safety cars here, we've seen virtuals, we've also seen red flags when cars crash through this section here and then come to a rest, coming out of this corner here and then come to a rest on the racing line. That immediately brings down a red flag, and that can completely destroy your race strategy. So we can't take anything for granted yet. It's still way too early for that. Alonso retakes the lead, re-extends the gap at the front. And now goes back into charge mode for Kevin, who will be at 100% by the end of this lap, and then we can work on getting Alonso fully charged. He's almost there. This race is already won even if a safety car does come out. Well, no, it depends when the safety car comes out. I mean, we're in a very strong position. But if the safety car comes out at the end, or towards the end, you know, and it brings the whole field up again, or if we get a red flag and everyone goes onto soft tyres, we're going to have to be really careful. We are going to have to push the cars harder than I would like to, just to maintain track advantage. And you never know what's going to happen, you know, a lock-up, you know, a loss of control, a spin, breaking the front wing. You can't take anything for granted at this particular circuit. The walls are everywhere and they are very unforgiving.
And charge button off.
Yeah, copy.
I mean, just look at what happened to Verstappen. Lap 2. Loses the car under a lockup, breaks his front wing, and is now 40 seconds off the lead. In no man's land, you know, there's no cars with him, so he's got no DRS train to help him out. If that happens to us, you know, we can recover into the points, but you know, we'll certainly lose the option for that car to try and win the race. And then the only thing that would give us a chance would be a safety car. It's only Max, I don't care, says Trucker. Alright, we are starting to eke out a gap. We've got our drivers now pretty much fully charged, so we are going to look at dropping the tyre pace down a little bit and protect those engines. Let's go into neutral. Let's go down one click on the tyres to start with.
At the moment, we are the fastest car on track.
Just got to make sure Alonso stays within 1 second before I drop him down.
We should slow down.
Copy that.
There we go. So that will help reduce the stress on the engines, which will give us potentially an edge by the time we reach Imola. Maybe even Miami as well. All of YouTube today was Red Bull or Max. They brought it on themselves. Yeah, Red Bull once again in damage control. Putting out a statement which wasn't really necessary, and all it did was just bring everything straight back to the surface again. It kind of refused to let the story die by doing that, but you know, word is that it was Max's camp that wanted that statement put out. In response to all the criticism he's been getting over the last few days. So we have a 4.5 second lead. Sorry, 4.5. Yeah, nearly a 4.5 second lead from our guys back to Perez, Sainz and Leclerc. Let's have a look down the grid and see what other battles we've got. We've got a big train behind Ocon. Let's have a look at that. So we've got Ocon, Hamilton, Bottas, Russell, Vettel, Gasly, Ricciardo, Stroll just clinging on, then Albon, all in the train from 6th to 14th. That is a long train. Albon is definitely being held up by Stroll here. We saw there was about half a second difference between those two in qualifying. Got to feel that Albon could potentially move up the order a little bit, certainly past Ricciardo if he could get past his teammate. See him trying to shape for a move, but with Lance having DRS as well, it's making it very difficult for him. We have got some movement up ahead, and Ocon into the pits already, and so is Ricciardo and Stroll, so that will free up Albon. These guys all on soft tyres, pitting on just lap 12. They're going to go on to Haas. Latifi's in as well, as is Zhou. Stroll also going for for hard tyres, getting held a little in the pits there. Ocon gets out ahead of Ricciardo, who gets out ahead of Stroll, so no real change there. Latifi held in the pits with a slow stop, held to allow Zhou to go through. Both of them on hards as well. So, with some of those soft rollers pitting on just lap 12, how long until Albon and Schumacher come in? They're the last two drivers on hard tyres. I think Alex is just outside of DRS at the moment. He is. It's going to be hard for him to get back in. Is he going to pit this lap? He is. He's in the pit. So, has he done enough to get ahead of his teammates? He needs a good stop here. The lack of DRS will have hurt him. Was there enough grip left in those soft tyres? There goes Ocon. There's Ricciardo. Here comes Stroll. And he's jumped Ricciardo and no, he's jumped Norris. Norris hasn't stopped yet, has he? Oh, Norris has stopped. He must have stopped a couple of laps ago. I must have missed that one. So yeah, he's jumped Norris and he's jumped his teammate Stroll. Now he's all over the back of Ricciardo, and maybe the two of them can then close the gap up to Ocon. Drucker remembers the days of Michael Schumacher and Eddie Irvine back in the Ferrari days. Irvine was okay. He was a bit of a dick at times, and he's been a bit outspoken, you know, and not always in a good way in the last few years. Just randomly throwing out pearls of his wisdom that, you know, seem to fly in the face of conventional, you know, wisdom. Mick Schumacher now into the pits. He is probably going for hards as well. And he should be able to go to the end on those. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the gap now between who has pitted and who hasn't. Tsunoda is the last of the cars that hasn't pitted yet, and you can see Ocon, the first of the pit stopped cars, closing him down. Albon is past Ricciardo. Those two do need to work together if they are going to close in on Ocon. We look at the train. We've got Perez with the two Ferraris all over the back of him. Look at this. There goes Sainz up the inside. Leclerc tries to follow him through. Can't quite manage it. DRS flaps open on Perez and Leclerc now. They're both swarming all over the back of Sainz. And this battling is allowing our guys to pull ahead even further. I'm going to actually drop the pace down a little bit more on our guys and give us the option of stretching those hards to go onto softs at the end. If we go a little bit further down the order, Russell leads the next little pack of Bottas, Vettel, Hamilton and Gasly. These five in a line. Let's sit in the middle of that pack with Vettel. Drucker hopes Mick goes to Mercedes next year. Yeah, I hope he gets that reserve role as well, because I think the chance of him getting the seat at Williams, I say, are virtually non-existent. I think it would take a miracle for Logan Sargent not to get his super license. This is a cracking battle here between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin, the Alfa Romeos. Look at this as they go side by side. Oh, and Hamilton gets squeezed. And that's dropped him really far back. If he didn't have DRS, he'd have been in real trouble there. It's allowing him to close back up again. Gasly having a look. Tries to go up the inside, which becomes the outside of turn 2. Can he make it stick? They're still side by side. And Gasly backs out. Hamilton holds on to P9. Bottas now leads this little train in 6th. Getting ahead of Russell. And the gap back to Perez is now 6.2 seconds. Our driver's doing an excellent job here. Vettel is on the verge of dropping DRS. He's got to be careful here. Ocon has caught and passed Tsunoda. Albon now gets passed as well. Verstappen is up to 17th now. Has got past Schumacher, Zhou and Latifi. 4.5 seconds off the back of Stroll. And comfortably ahead of the cars behind him now. Schumacher 11 seconds behind Verstappen. So, lap 17, we'll have a rundown. We have Magnussen P1, Alonso half a second behind him. Another 6.5 seconds back is Sainz in P3, Perez in P4 and Leclerc in P5, they are nose to tail. Then 9 seconds back from that we have Bottas in 6th, heading Russell, Vettel, Hamilton and Gasly all in a DRS train. Then there's another 17.5 seconds back from Gasly to Ocon, who is 1.3 seconds ahead of Albon in 12th. Tsunoda right behind in 13th, with Ricciardo as well also there in 14th. A second and a half back is Stroll in the second AlphaTauri. Norris right behind him in P16 in the second McLaren. Verstappen 4.2 seconds back in 17th place, and then 12 seconds back is Zhou, with Schumacher right behind him, and another 2.5 seconds back is Latifi in 20th. Let's go back to the battle for third. Let's watch with Carlos here. Let's take a look at the tyres as well. You can see that those medium tyres starting to wear down now. They're just over 50% for Perez and Sainz. The hard tyres of Leclerc right behind them on 64%. Our tyre saving means that ours are 68% right now. We are definitely reaping the benefits of protecting those tyres. And I do think Leclerc is now the fastest of these three that are chasing us down. But because he's at the back of this little train here, it's going to make it very hard for him to get his way up to the front. Oh, and both Ferraris steam straight down the inside of Perez there into the final turn. They're side by side. Sainz gets a bad exit. Leclerc powers through, and Sainz and Perez both dive into the pits. They are nose to tail as they cross the white line. Sainz is going for hards, and so is Perez. Very quick stop for Perez. Sainz has to be held, otherwise it would be an unsafe release. So Perez retakes the position from Sainz in the pits. They're about to rejoin the track. They're going to be comfortably ahead of Ocon in 11th, so they've got clear track, you know, in front and behind. And they're now going to push to try and catch up to the back of Gasly, who is 8.5 seconds ahead of him. So, what kind of pace can Leclerc do now? He did a 1:35.9 last lap. This is the first lap he's had with clear air. Was I right? Is he faster? Comes into the final turn now. Accelerates up towards the line. Magnussen has crossed the line with a 1:35.3, Alonso a 1:35.9, and Leclerc does a 35.5. He's 0.4 of a second faster this lap, without the the other drivers in front of him, slowing him down. He's able to get more out of his tyres now. And he is 0.5 second quicker than Hamilton, who is now in 4th. Missed that. Hamilton managing to fight his way through 3 cars in front of him there. Now leads that train of Hamilton, Russell, Vettel, Bottas and Gasly. That must have happened while we were watching the pit stops for Sainz and Perez. They are still just over a second between them, so they're not able to work together yet. But it does look as though Sainz is slightly quicker. The gap has come down by a 1/10 or 2. Ricciardo and Albon have caught Ocon. Ricciardo has now overtaken Albon, and the gap to Sainz 9.4 seconds. Perez definitely closing in on Gasly. Don't forget Gasly and the cars in front, Hamilton, Russell, Vettel, Bottas and himself have all yet to stop. They are on their hard tyres. They are going to be going to mediums, as are we and Charles Leclerc as well. Gap to Leclerc is 8 seconds from R2 drivers. And he is lapping faster. He's done a 1:35, just under a 1:35.5 this lap. He is ever so slowly gaining in, but he is pushing his tyres at normal pace, and we are pushing on purple pace, the slowest pace setting. So we haven't got anything to be worried about right now. We are trying to stretch our tyres to go to hards, to softs instead of mediums. Sainz now just outside the 1 second range. Can he get there for the first DRS straight? He's inside 1 second. It keeps fluctuating. He's right on the cusp. The detection zone is right round this corner. I think he made it. Yes, Sainz has made it into DRS range of Perez, so those two are going to be battling with each other now. Just looking at our fuel, we do need to save a little bit of fuel, so let's drop the fuel, but up the tyre pace slightly to compensate.
And push.
Copy that.
And Sainz and Perez now resuming hostilities. Sainz all over the back of the Red Bull driver. And Sainz has just set the fastest lap. We will get that back once we switch on to mediums. See, where is Verstappen now? He has caught the back of Yuki Tsunoda, still down in 17th place. In fact, he actually got past Tsunoda, didn't he? But you know, obviously Tsunoda's been staying with him. Tsunoda yet to pit, I believe. Yeah, Tsunoda and then the front 8, the only cars yet to pit. They're all on hards right now. Verstappen's mediums are getting very spongy, so his pace is definitely dropping. And he has a significant wear disadvantage to the cars in front of him and Tsunoda. I expect Verstappen to be pitting soon for another set of mediums, probably in the next 5 laps. And Sainz and Perez are closing in on that train from 4th to 8th, just 4.8 seconds behind Gasly now. Let's see if Verstappen can drop Tsunoda through this last sequence of corners before the first DRS zone. He's just over a second ahead right now. It's fluctuating. And there we go, he has dropped him and is now 1.5 seconds off the back of Norris. He's closing Norris down. It looks as though Verstappen is upping his pace because he's close to a pit stop. So, next few laps we are going to see him come in for, I would imagine, another set of mediums. And here you can see the talent of, in terms of stats, of Max over Norris, and also the performance difference between the McLaren and the Red Bull, that even though his tyres are starting to look a bit of a mess, he is hunting down that McLaren very quickly. It's 1.2 seconds to gap now. And he's already pulled out a second and a half over Tsunoda in one lap. So, lap 25, halfway point of the race. Alonso leads by half a second from Magnussen. Leclerc 7.5 seconds back. Then Russell another 10.5 seconds back. Leads a train of Vettel, Hamilton, Bottas and Gasly. Perez and Sainz are now just over 3 seconds behind that group. 14 seconds back is Ricciardo in 11th. Then Ocon, Albon right behind him. 4 seconds further back is Stroll in 14th. Norris in 15th is 2 seconds off the Stroll, with Verstappen all over the back of him now in 16th. 4 seconds back is Tsunoda in 17th. Then a big gap of 13 seconds to Zhou and Schumacher, the two Astons swapping positions back and forth, and another 6.5 seconds back to Latifi in 20th. No drivers have been lapped yet. And no retirements yet either. No virtual safety cars, no yellow flag. Well, no, one yellow flag when Verstappen crashed his car on lap 2. But no virtual safety cars, no full safety cars, no red flags. Pretty uneventful race so far in terms of drama. But definitely some close running. The pit windows are now open on our existing strategy. We are going to switch onto plan B for both drivers. There we go. I shouldn't speak too soon. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe we are tempting fate, but it's all looking very good right now. We've almost saved all the fuel as well over the last few laps. We've saved enough for me to actually go back into balanced fuel mode. Leclerc has pulled a couple of seconds back to us while we've been saving. And Verstappen's still not able to get past Norris. Those tyres have got to be really struggling now. 38%, yeah, 37%. Just tick down again. Those mediums are almost dead. This might be the lap we see him pit. He might go one more lap. Verstappen finally gets past Norris. Up into P15. 2.5 seconds off of Stroll. And Norris has immediately got back past him again. Verstappen's tyres are dead. He's got to be pitting. Oh, we've had a lock-up from Kevin. And he's done the same thing that Verstappen did.
Now just focus on the Haas.
He locks up at the end of Sector 1 and puts his car in the wall.
And there we see the crash. And the team had such high hopes today. What a shame.
So, that is a broken front wing for Kevin.
Are you okay?
Sorry.
We are going to have to pit. I think it's just front wing damage, but we're going to go onto the medium tyres now. So let's revert the strategy back to plan A. How bad is the damage? It's just minor front wing damage. We are going to change the front wing.
And box now, box.
Copy box.
So, we're going to have to
So we need to push.
increase our tyre pace a little bit. We're still ahead of Leclerc, and Leclerc still hasn't pitted yet, so we will get out ahead of him once Leclerc makes his stop, but this does obviously hand the race win to Alonso. There's a delay with the change of front wing. 8.2 seconds. It's a slow stop. We are out behind Perez. I'm going to go into light tyre
We should
pace.
slow down.
Copy that.
8.5 seconds behind Perez. Now 8.2 seconds. We should close that gap up pretty quickly. Now we're on brand new mediums. So yeah, that has pretty much handed the race to Alonso, unless we do get a safety car later in the race that changes things a little bit. And in less than half a lap, we've already taken a second out of Perez. We're not even pushing. That's the power of these brand new tyres, and everyone else and the cars in front being on old hards, holding up the newer hards of Sainz and Perez. Bottas pits. One less car we're going to have to fight our way past. And I can see the mechanics coming out for a Mercedes. So Russell or Hamilton pitting next lap. Medium tyres for Bottas, that drops him out ahead of Stroll, so he's going to come out in P13. That promotes Magnussen up to 90. He's now 6.3, 6.2 seconds behind Perez. That gap coming down very quickly. Verstappen still in 17th, still hasn't stopped yet. Or has he? He must have stopped. He has. He's put on some fresh mediums. Trying to work out why he was behind S02 again. Here you can see the chasing pack now. Russell, Vettel, Hamilton, Sainz, Perez, Gasly. Hamilton peels into the pits. Magnussen now goes through into P8. The gap to the group in front, 5.2 seconds across the line. And such is the pace through the corners with this car that we've already taken almost a second just going through. In fact, by the time we get out of sector 1, it will be an extra second. There we go, 4.2 seconds. Magnussen flying at the moment in comparison to the cars in front. We're into the pit window for Alonso. He'll be pitting in the next 3 laps or so. Leclerc has yet to pit as well, which makes me think he might also be trying to stay out for a set of softs. Russell, Vettel, Gasly do not pit. I wonder if they are going for softs as well. The longer they stay out, the better for Kevin. Because the more it slows down Perez and Sainz. And having said that, Perez and Sainz have now moved to the front of that pack. Russell, Vettel and Gasly hanging on. The gap to Magnussen just 2.6 seconds now, 2.5. He is closing hand over fist. As Verstappen sets a new fastest lap. He's got back past Yuki and is charging up on the back of Norris. Gasly's tyres 34%, he's going to have to pit surely. Leclerc's not much better at 36. Russell and Vettel on 37. Sainz and Perez's hards at 70% now. Magnussen's still at 90% on his new mediums. And we're on the back of the group. And there we go, they all pit. Russell, Vettel and Gasly. Russell goes for mediums. So does Gasly, and so does Vettel, so they are going for mediums. Surely Charles Leclerc can't go much longer before he has to pit. Magnussen now up to 5th, and just 3.6 seconds behind Perez. And S02 finally pits as well. He was one of the last remaining hard tyre runners. And he has also gone for medium tyres. So, nobody gone for softs yet. Alonso will be going for softs. Going to try and squeeze him for another 3 laps before I make the stop. And Leclerc is going into the pits. Now, what tyres is he putting on? He's going for mediums. Okay, Magnussen should be ahead of him. There is Magnussen crossing the line. He is going to be out ahead of the Ferrari by maybe 10 seconds, I think. Not as quite as much, 5.5 seconds. So that promotes Perez up to second. He is 17 seconds off the back of Alonso. Sainz right behind him. Magnussen just 2.5 seconds behind those two now. Leclerc another 5.1 seconds back. Norris exits the pits on a set of brand new mediums. And Joe makes his stop into mediums as well. And we are going to pit Alonso this lap for a set of softs.
And push.
Copy that.
DRS.
Copy.
So putting Magnussen onto a deploy mode. This will be his fastest lap attempt. He's not going to get the fastest lap at the end of the race. Sainz is currently fastest. Magnussen should beat that, but once Alonso puts his softs on, he's going to have a grip advantage. He's going to be behind Magnussen and potentially behind Leclerc, but I think he'll come out just ahead of Leclerc.
Copy. Pit entry.
Alonso into the pits for those soft tyres. Slow stop, 3.3 seconds. Magnussen gets the fastest lap. Sainz does get out ahead of Leclerc, actually comfortably ahead of Leclerc. And is 2.5 seconds behind Magnussen, who is all over the back of Sainz right now.
And charge button on, charge button on.
Copy that.
So we're going to recharge Kevin's battery and then try and push past the pair of these two. Schumacher into the pits. Is he going for softs? He's got to be at this point, surely. There's a few pit crews out. Latifi's coming in. Oh, he's got mediums. Latifi coming into the pits. We still have an Alpha Tauri crew out there. Latifi going for mediums. And we now go back to the battle for the lead. Perez and Sainz side by side, Magnussen just 2/10 behind them. And Alonso closing just 1.5 seconds behind. Make that less than a second. He's now into DRS range. He'll be joining this train, making it a four-way. Start moving Magnussen forward a bit. We've had a lock-up and a yellow flag in Sector 1. And someone has crashed.
We've just had a crash on the track.
It's Hamilton.
Let's have a look. Now watch this. Lewis Hamilton
Completely on his own on the track, no pressure, and he locks up at the same corner that has already claimed the front wings of Verstappen and Magnussen, and has now claimed Hamilton's front wing as well. So Hamilton may pit for a new front wing, and if he does, he's going to go onto softs, which means he could threaten for fastest lap. Alonso's going to have to really push to make sure he gets it now. As Sainz goes through into the lead, Magnussen follows him through.
You are doing a good job.
We'll put him back into recharge mode.
And charge button on. Charge button on.
Copy.
As Magnussen goes around Sainz and takes the lead, we're going to charge him and then push him for a lap or two. Alonso needs to fight his way through now. Let's put him into overtake. This should be straightforward, given the grip advantage. Hamilton has pitted. And that's going to promote Verstappen into the points. Verstappen moves up to 10th. It's a long stop for Hamilton. As a result of that nose change, he's going to come out in 14th, maybe 15th. He might drop behind Stroll. He's dropped behind Stroll and Norris. He's out in 16th, but he is out on soft tyres. So he's going to be rapid in the closing 13 laps of this Grand Prix. Alonso trying to find his way past Perez up the inside as Sainz moves into the lead. Alonso moves into P3. Now he goes for P2.
Ferrari, advance the race position.
And we're going to charge both of our drivers now. As Alonso takes P2, Magnussen slots into P3, Perez now P4. Magnussen almost fully charged. Getting ready to make the sprint. And here we go, pushing both of our drivers into attack mode. Alonso takes P1
So deployed.
and has the DRS on the back straight, so he should pull away nicely from Sainz. Magnussen will hopefully get him here as well.
Is that a new race position for Haas?
Magnussen gets to the DRS for the back straight, so Magnussen is going to blitz away from Sainz. Both of our drivers are going to push this lap.
Haas with an overtake there.
So we can try and break away and make sure that one of our two drivers gets the fastest lap.
No lift off needed. You are doing a good job.
Copy.
Magnussen benefiting from Alonso's DRS here. Looks like Alonso may not get the fastest lap after all. It may go to Magnussen. I'm not sure which of our drivers got the DRS there. Oh, it was Alonso. Alonso got the DRS, so he should get the fastest lap. No, he doesn't. Magnussen stays with the fastest lap. So, interesting. Right, let's slow both our drivers right down again.
We should slow down.
Copy that.
And we need some lift and coast.
Copy that.
And charge button on. Charge button on.
Got it.
And there we go. So, both of our drivers have broken away. They've broken free. Alonso on those soft tyres is probably going to extend his gap over Magnussen now. Magnussen should have enough pace to stay ahead of Perez and Sainz. Leclerc has closed up to within 2.8 seconds of those two now. Hamilton's still down in 16th, can't get past Stroll because he's in the DRS of Norris. He is really suffering at the moment as a result of that unforced error.
So we need to push.
Look, it's still not over yet. Lap 42 of 50, a red flag now would reset the grid. Everybody would go onto soft tyres. So it's important that we get our drivers' batteries recharged just in case that happens. Hamilton now up to 14th. He's got past Stroll and Norris. 10.5 seconds behind Albon. That is probably a little bit too much for him to close down. Looks as though no points for the Mercedes driver today. Vettel 7 seconds off the back of Verstappen. Oh, sorry, 7 seconds ahead of Verstappen, who is in 10th. So Verstappen has recovered for a point. 43, let's give you a rundown of the order. We have Alonso P1, Magnussen 2.5 seconds behind in P2, Sainz P3 2 seconds back with Perez right behind him in 4th, Leclerc now just 1.1 seconds back in 5th, then it's 16 seconds more back to Bottas in 6th, Russell right behind in 7th, 4.3 seconds to Gasly in 8th, who is 2.8 seconds ahead of Verstappen in 9th, sorry, Vettel in 9th. Verstappen 7 seconds back in 10th. 11th, 5 seconds back is Ricciardo. 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds back is Albon in 12th with Ocon right behind him. Then in 14th is Hamilton, 10.5 seconds back. He is scrapping with Norris right now. Stroll also in that fight in 16th. Then 21 seconds back to Tsunoda in 17th. Who is 8 seconds clear of Zhou. Schumacher 19th, 2 seconds back, and then another 11 seconds to Latifi. Still the only car to have been lapped is Nicholas Latifi. He's hanging onto the back of Magnussen right now. And Leclerc has caught Perez and Sainz. So we do need to be careful here. Magnussen is on his own. He doesn't have a DRS train to help him. He's got a 2-second gap back to this three-way battle. But if Leclerc gets through, he could put some pressure on Magnussen in the last lap or two. Magnussen's battery is now fully charged. That will help.
It will be charge button off.
Copy that.
And
I'm just going to up Magnussen's pace just a little bit, see if I can get him to break away from Latifi. Leclerc all over the back of Perez, trying to find a way through here. And Alonso's ERS is now fully charged. And he gets through and now has a run at the back of Sainz and immediately moves past Sainz on the start-finish straight. Gap to Magnussen is now 3.6 seconds, but he's been released. I expect him to start pulling away from the other two pretty quickly. Magnussen has been eking up onto the back of Alonso. We have been pushing him a little bit faster over the last couple of laps just to give him that little bit of security to Leclerc. but I am going to instigate team orders on this. We are going to tell him not to fight Alonso, or let Alonso win the race, because Alonso deserves the victory. He hasn't put a foot wrong, and the only reason we're not pushing Alonso any faster is to protect his engine. The only reason we're pushing Magnussen is to make sure he stays ahead of Leclerc. So to then allow him to then take the win from Alonso would be unfair. We want to get him into the DRS zone just to give him that little bit of extra protection, and then we can start to slow him down again. Four laps to go. And Leclerc has blistered away from Sainz and Perez. He's already 2.5 seconds clear of the pair of them. Magnussen has now made it into DRS range, so I've immediately slowed his pace down. He will now tuck in behind Alonso for the last 3 laps. And we'll keep an eye on the gap to Leclerc. It's currently 3.9 seconds. Let's take a look down the order and see what battles are still going on. Perez and Sainz still fighting, still swapping places. Russell has broken clear a little bit of Bottas. He currently holds 6th by 1.5 seconds. Then there's a gap of 5 seconds back to Gasly. Vettel is 3 seconds further back. 5.5 seconds to Verstappen now. He has been closing, but he's not going to close fast enough. Hamilton's still in 14th, still 12, 13 seconds off the back of Albon. So 14th looks to be the best Hamilton's going to get. And he is still under pressure from Norris and Stroll, as they are staying in his DRS. So I think the only real battle left now is for 4th place between Perez and Sainz. The only battle that counts. Obviously Hamilton's in a battle, but nothing at stake there. 14th place is nothing. We've had 3 broken wings in this race, but no safety cars, virtual or otherwise, no red flags, no retirements. Have to say I'm a little surprised at that. No incidents from Schumacher, no incidents from Stroll or Tsunoda or Latifi. It's all the drivers you wouldn't expect to make the mistakes that have made them. Russell is extending his gap over Bottas, so it looks as though he is secure in 6th place. Good points for Russell today, best of the rest. better than Verstappen. Good points there for Mercedes, you know, given Hamilton's problems and Verstappen's problems. Alphas have got 2 cars in the top 10, that gives them some decent points. Gasly's in there. Ocon too far back in 11th to threaten for 10th. As Sainz and Perez go side by side into the final corner, we're starting the last lap. Alonso and Magnussen have got the 2 Aston Martins in front of them. They should clear that traffic without too much issue. And Perez now, having been passed by Sainz, is in danger of dropping out of DRS. It's close. 0.8 of a second. He should just about hang in. It's very close. He just hangs on for the first DRS zone. That'll close him up for the second. Will make the scrap for the line down to the wire for 4th place here. Perez will have DRS on the final straight. Can he get past Sainz before the line? I don't think he can.
Done it. Fernando Alonso is today's
He can't.
Grand Prix winner. Let's take a look at the replay. And Fernando Alonso comes home first.
You can't say they didn't earn it. They put in an amazing performance today.
And there we go. Fernando wins the race. The Lord of the Eyebrows takes the top spot on the podium. Magnussen finishes behind him. Then Leclerc, 3.5 seconds back.
Good job, guys.
Sainz holds on for 4th. Perez 5th. Russell takes 6th. Bottas crosses the line 7th. Gasly coming up to finish in 8th, ahead of Vettel in 9th. Verstappen 5 seconds back in the end in 10th. Albon just missing out on points. He is 11th, but he's under pressure. They go side by side across the line, but Albon just holds off Ocon. Ricciardo 13th. Stroll is ahead of Hamilton and has the DRS. So Stroll will beat Hamilton to the line in a sprint. Hamilton 15th, Norris 16th, Tsunoda 17th, Zhou in 18th, Mick Schumacher 19th, and Latifi bringing up the rear in 20th.
What a flawless weekend here from Fernando Alonso. His team must be proud. This is a tremendous podium result. It's joy all around for the team. And the talented veteran rounds off another great drive, adding to his impressive F1 podium tally. But there we see the 3 drivers with the biggest haul of points, and of course the silverware to boot. This is a good result for Haas, more than enough to satisfy the whole team.
This was thrilling to watch. They've done an excellent job and they deserve all the plaudits.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
And for the next round, Formula One is heading down under. Exciting times ahead in Australia on the shores of the Albert Park Lake.
So Alonso returns to the top step of the podium for the first time in a decade. What a great race for him. Absolutely flawless throughout, comfortable, never in any real trouble. Magnussen, a bit of a wobble, but it happened around the time that he was going to make his original pit stop anyway, so not too much of an impact. He manages to recover back up to second. Leclerc with a strong drive to finish third, Sainz fourth, Perez fifth, Russell sixth, Bottas, Gasly, Vettel and Verstappen make up our top 10. In the Drivers' Championship, it is even Stevens between our two drivers. They both have a win and a fastest lap and a second place to their name. So Magnussen has the lead on countback because he got the first win. And then 14 points back is Charles Leclerc in with 30 points. 2 third place finishes for him. It sees him, ahead of his teammate with 2 fourth place finishes, who is now on 24 points. Perez moves up to 5th. Russell moves up to 6th. Verstappen drops 2 places to 7th with just that solitary point. Bottas climbs 6 places to move up to 8th place in the driver's standings, ahead of Hamilton, who didn't score. Gasly improves his tally up to 5 points with his finish result, sees him 10th in the standings. Then Albon and Vettel, who gets his first points of the seasons. Still to score: Norris, Ocon, Stroll, Ricciardo, Zhou, Tsunoda, Schumacher and Latifi. In the Constructors' Championship, Haas extend their win. Another maximum haul sees them up to 88 points from Ferrari on 54. So a 34-point gap opening up already. Red Bull just 11 points this weekend, sees them in third on 29 points. Already a long way off Haas. Mercedes fourth with 18 points. Alfa Romeo climbed 3 places up to 5th with 8 points. Their first points of the season after a disappointing Bahrain race. Alpine stay 6th but gain another 4 points, so they're on 5 in total now. AlphaTauri with 2 points dropped down to 7th. McLaren dropped to 8th with no points, and Aston Martin and Williams also yet to score. We get a new development point for Kevin, no point for Alonso. Not surprising, and no point for Logan, which is a little disappointing. I was hoping he'd get one, but who knows? Maybe he'll get one when we get back to the garage. We pay out Kevin's 440,000 bonus again. That's going to happen pretty much every race that he finishes, I think. But we made our sponsor performances. We made $1 million from our incentives, which was very good because we got the qualifying streak complete. Achieved the fastest lap and got both cars into Q2. For our guarantees, both cars finished for a 1-2. We got both cars into Q3 and we qualified both cars on the front row. So we bring home just under $6 million after Kevin's bonus. Our scouting department upgrade is done, so we now have a 3rd scout that we can send off. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So let's hire another scout. There we go. And we are going to continue to scout engineers, I think. Actually, no, let's use this scout to start scouting technical chiefs. Resta is in his 50s. There is going to come a point where he considers retiring. So let's start scouting the rest of the technical chiefs on the grid. Let's check our staff's points while we're here as well. We'll start off looking at the pit crew. Pit crew has improved the tyre change up to 52. Still a way to go. 40 on wing adjusts, that's terrible. 46 on car release is also pretty bad. 49 on front and rear jacks. A long way to go till this pit crew becomes competent, really. They are severely lacking in terms of experience. Javier is over 2,000 points away from his next point. He's a way off yet. Pedro is going to get one next week. He's just 100 points off. Mr. Grumpy, Jared Murphy, is 2 weeks away from his next point. And Simone Resta is going to get a point next week. Good stuff. Our drivers. We know we've got a point for Kevin. We're going to put that into his control. And that boosts his overall rating from 81 to 82. Very nice. We do have a point for Logan. We are going to put that into his cornering. Let's take a look at our car. We have 33 days until our rear wing is ready, and 37 days until our front wing is ready. We do have a slot available. We just finished a part, or we're waiting for the end of an ATR period. It might have been that. Let's have a look. Check our emails, our inbox. A report saying that we need to improve the defending of Kevin. Now I think we need to improve his control before we even think about that. Board could not be happier with the 1-2 at the JEDDAH Corniche. There's an email about our scouting department. Board have very high confidence in us. Financial report is complete. We're looking very good at the moment, just under 16 million in the bank. Our car development report for the month, our engine cooling, the only real concern we have right now, and that's not horrific, it's 9th on the grid. Brakes could be a little bit better, they're 5th. That front wing should improve our braking a little bit. So that's our emails dealt with. Let's take a look at the calendar. We are a way off a new ATR period, so we have got the option to go ahead and start designing a new part. Let's see, what do we want to work on? I could start work on another floor, but we're 28 days away and I want to use the aero hours for that. We're on Mark II chassis, Mark II suspension. Let's go for another suspension and let's optimize for brake cooling. That will give us an extra couple of percent of brakes. Won't move us up a ranking, but it will certainly improve their performance a little bit. And that combined with the front wing could be enough to seriously improve our brakes overall. So we'll go into engineers available. We've got 5 available. We'll go intense, and that will take 23 days, so that will be ready in time for Imola. Excellent. There we go. Do we need to manufacture some new parts? We might need a new front wing. Let's take a look at the warehouse. We have 3 chassis, 2 side pods, 2 underfloors. We do need another underfloor. 3 suspension, but we just started on new suspension. I'm going to hold off on that and the chassis. We're still on 5 front wings, so we're okay on that, and we've got a new one on the way. So the only thing we have to really worry about is a spare underfloor. So let's go ahead and manufacture one of those. There we go, because if we damage it over the curbs at Australia, then obviously we will need to replace it. That'll take 5 days. We've got 11 to go until the next Grand Prix. Let's check in with our facilities. We have that money in the bank, 15 million now. Anything in need of an upgrade soon? Wind tunnel's okay. CFD's okay. The suspension simulator is going to need an upgrade or a refurb very soon. A car part test centre in even more of a need. Let's go ahead and drop an upgrade on the car part test centre. because that is literally a day or two away from dropping down. Let's check our staff facilities. We are close to being able to do the team hub. We've got enough money. Let's go ahead and do that. Get the final level of our team hub done. And that leaves us with $500,000. Just have a quick look at what needs work here. The boardroom is getting a bit low. That's okay at the moment. Not worried about that. Not worried about the hospitality. We're not looking to sign anyone, so we don't need to worry about the team attractiveness right now. The weather centre is okay. Helipad's fine. Memorabilia room, again, not too worried about the team attractiveness or the morale issue. While we're winning, morale isn't going to be an issue at all. The tour centre is fine for now. So we advanced some time a little bit. There is the email saying that the car park test centre is now in poor condition. We've already started the upgrade. Yeah, we only advanced like 3 days and it immediately went. So we got that upgrade in just in time. We're low on suspension stock. 3 is okay. Not worried about that. There is our spare underfloor. So we now have 3 underfloors. We have a vote for new FIA minor technical regulations. We want to introduce new limitations on wing size and end plate design, which will have a large impact on cornering performance. Please review these proposed regulation changes below and vote in good time. So the options are for low wing speed changes, which will affect the front and rear wings, or high speed wing changes on the front and rear wings. Let's take a look at our staff abilities. We have that new point for Simone Resta to apply. We are going to go ahead and put that on the chassis. Front and rear wing, both 83 out of 100 for Simone Resta. But this is the important one, Jared Murphy. He is weakest in high-speed downforce, significantly weaker than his low speed. He's a low-speed downforce specialist. So, given that, we want to vote for low-speed downforce changes, because we can recoup that probably a bit better than some of the rest of the grid. So we're going to vote for the low-speed wing changes. There we go. And that is where we sit. We get an email about an upcoming new driver. This is one of the regens, Gene Morin. "21 years old, a 46, probably not someone we're going to be interested in. We are now in poor condition with the race simulator. That's going to cost 4.6 mil to upgrade or to refurb, so that's going to be a few weeks away yet, because the money we earn from this next race we're going to have to put towards manufacturing new parts and starting new designs. So it's going to be a little while now until we can go ahead and refurb that, unfortunately. So we'll have a slight dip in our driver experience gain, 20% dip, and that'll cost us 20 points a week until we can get that fixed. We do have a point for Pedro. Let's go ahead and put that onto his feedback. There we go. And nothing extra for our drivers. So there we go. That is the end of our stream tonight for Haas. Another very strong result, another 1-2. This team is in incredibly strong shape right now. We've got a fantastic car with more parts on the way. We've got a great driver lineup in Alonso and Magnussen, and they are so closely balanced. You know, within less than a tenth of each other so far in both qualifying sessions that we've raced in Bahrain and in Jeddah. Yeah, very, very evenly matched pace-wise, which is great for us. It really is. They've each taken a win, and they've each taken a fastest lap so far. Neck and neck between the two of them, and it could be like that all the way through the season. Will Alonso finally get his hands on a third World Championship, or will Kevin Magnussen get his first? We'll have to keep watching as we go and see how things shake out. There will be a random Mercedes race tomorrow night. We're starting the usual time, 10:30, and this will be a Season 3, a 2024 race. I am currently at Miami, but I will probably be a couple of races further ahead by the time we get to the stream. So we'll see where we are. Might be Canada, maybe Canada. Who knows? Maybe Baku. But that'll be tomorrow night's stream, and then we'll be back with Williams on Monday. And where are we with Williams? I think we just did Monza last time out, didn't we? Yeah, so we're heading to Singapore with Williams on Monday, and then Suzuka with Williams on Tuesday. We'll be back with Haas next Wednesday at Albert Park, and then next Thursday will be race 4, which will be at Imola. So that's the next week's streaming, and then next Friday will be a brand new career that will be starting, and I will throw a vote up for you on the community tab, so you guys can pick which team that I'll be doing on that. I will lay down some ground rules that we'll have to follow throughout the series in terms of staffing changes and driver changes, and we'll make that a very rigid set of rules to see if that affects, you know, how quickly the car develops and how quickly we improve that team. So until tomorrow and a random Mercedes race, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more F1 Manager very soon.